I find it's very difficult as we go through Christmas and we're thinking about people who uh, have come through poverty and have made good. It's very difficult not to think of Michelle Mone. It's very difficult not to think of Angela Rayner. It's very difficult not to think of Nadine Dorries. But there's such a big difference between the three of them. And I know I've not always been terribly kind to Nadine Dorries. Um, but despite her moaning and whinging, she's actually done quite well for herself. And she came from a very poor background, as did Angela Rayner. And there's something rather positive about that sort of rags to riches story because it's etched in the bedrock of our um, global mythology. The Christ child from absolute poverty, from a stable, from a manger, and becomes the focus of one of the great world religions and is hailed as a king, and so on. And part of that, a part of the Christian message is about kindness to the poor, is about thinking of others, and so on. And then we come to Michelle Mone. Michelle Mone, coming from the east side of Glasgow, I know it, by the way, um, whose brother died when she was 8, whose father died of cancer, who had a child when she was a teenager, and who has then built businesses on the back of being in reality TV shows. Well, on so many of those levels, I can understand where she's coming from. She was, she is a brilliant publicist. Um, she seems to have got the knack of hiring people to wear her underwear, particularly people who are relatives who either are or have been the girlfriends of Rod Stewart. Her and then she goes sort of off kilter, selling dodgy weight loss pills, getting into cryptocurrency, and I would say getting into serious trouble. And yet, on the basis of that, at that time, that's the point at which David Cameron puts her into the House of Lords. And why? David Cameron is now back in the government, and yet, although we've had Michelle Mone again and again and again in the headlines, nobody seems to have found any way of pincering David Cameron against a wall and saying, why did you put this person in the House of Lords? What did she have that other people didn't have? What did she have that Nadine Dorries didn't have? I'm sure Nadine Dorries is only too keen to ask that question. What did she have that I don't have? Well, we'd like to ask. I mean, they both have this poor background. They both drag themselves up into into Parliament. What did Nadine Dorries lack that Michelle Mone has got? It can't even be chutzpah because I think Nadine Dorries has quite a bit of that too. Um, and Michelle Mone has become this casual, shameless parody of money grabbing nastiness. Self referencing all the time, a call to arms of lords, baronesses, me, uh, to help out, and she comes up with MedPro PPE. No morals, no decency, no plan, no values, except except to except to have some sort of circular, duplicitous system where somebody that we don't even know, that she claims she doesn't even know, who happens to run her husband's household office, Anthony Page, is set up as the nominal head of their PPE company. It's just madness. And then we find that there's £29 million somehow in a circuitous route, not unlike Anthony Page, makes its way into bank accounts in the Isle of Man. And she's asked, a couple of weeks ago on the Sunday programme with Laura Koensberg, what are your hopes for 2024? Well, I don't see what the case is against me. Not, well, I hope this will go away. I hope we can find a way of answering the questions which are outstanding. No, I don't see what the case is against me. I don't think I've done anything wrong. I've only lied to the press. Well, that's not quite true, as we've found out. She's also lied to her solicitor, who no longer wants to represent her. Good luck on finding someone to represent her when she's up in front of the law very soon. Good luck. Good luck on that one. But it is madness, isn't it? And yet she doesn't see any reason to resign from the House of Lords, to retire entirely from public. She's been in hiding for 2 years. But she doesn't see any reason to retire from public life, she or her husband. And okay, she got the masks right, but she got the gowns wrong. We've got the same thing with Piers Morgan, of course. So many of his articles were not based on phone tapping, but one of them was. And getting one thing wrong, whether it's a big thing like the PPE, like the gowns, and taking the money, or whether it's just one article, it's still getting something fundamentally wrong. It's still fundamentally dodgy. It's still based on deceit. And if she was not deceiving, why does she set up all these companies and squirrel away the money in such a secretive route? The government is now suing her for the faulty gowns. There's a criminal charge against her as well. This is madness, that she even thinks that this is something that can be where she can talk her way out of it. There is no way to talk her way out of this. Even if, all of the elements are here. A political problem, a legal problem, but above all, an ethical problem. And it's that ethical issue which seems to me to be the bit which everybody is missing in their stories. Ethically, like Piers Morgan, ethically, these people don't have a leg to stand on. They're like faulty flamingos, standing on one leg, balancing and looking faintly ridiculous.